What's up, sports, fitness, and wellness fans? Coach Frank here. Have you felt compressed lately? Have the pressures of life, the environment, and even gravity taken their toll on you? You think you'd be less stressed if you could just decompress? What if you were in an anti-gravity environment like astronauts? I'm sure you can imagine how therapeutic that could be. But do you have to go to outer space to decompress? Well, wonder no more, because I've got the answers to all that weighs on you physically, and good news about stress you shouldn't have to carry in your shoulders, neck, back, and any of your joints too. Today, I'm going to reveal how environmental stresses have accumulated over your entire life, impressing you more than you even know. And finding this out, you'll be able to launch your own campaign to reduce and even eliminate those compressions without having to board a rocket, all while getting results for yourself that are out of this world. Sound like a thrill ride? It will be, if you know what I'm about to reveal. So buckle in, because the countdown has begun, and you're locked in for a blast off toward better physical wellness and feeling great. All of it. Right after this.
Game on, sports, fitness, and health fans, with another episode of the Sporting Good Posture Digital Radio Experience. Gear up for Coach Frank's advice from the sidelines as he helps you crush your game, no matter what sports, health, or fitness game you play.
Hey, this is Coach Frank. I'm sporting good posture. What are you sporting?
Hey, Coach, what do you got for us today?
Welcome back to another episode of Sporting Good Posture. It's Coach Frank, your mission control for your journey to states of physical being you never thought possible, but which are actually built into your natural design. Seriously. But why all the space metaphors and talk of anti-gravity environments? Well, with all the talk we've been doing about accumulated stresses over the years, from injury, your environment, activities, and all you've done in life up until now, we neglected one factor of stress no one ever considers: gravity. Now, I'll bet you've never considered gravity a stress, but it is a force not unlike the impacts you face throughout your life. When you hit the ground from a fall, gravity is why you get hurt. Its force is not really much different than impact with another car in an auto accident, or any force or trauma otherwise absorbed by your body. Force is force. Gravity is force. But gravity has a great deal more to do with pressure, something invisibly pulling you down every single day towards Earth, and it's unrelenting. Now, it's not all bad news, and that's why I brought up outer space, where there is no gravity. Why does that matter, especially if you're not blasting off for space anytime soon? Well, there is technology now based on this concept, and people just like you have been using it to incredible results, and we're totally going to cover how that could be today. Now, I'll have to let you know a few things first before I explain it, and I promise you'll totally get it. You're going to want me to explain it because it's something everyone needs to know, and I'll do that for you right here, right after this short message.
Auto accidents. Some are serious. Some are just small fender benders, but all of them do damage. Maybe you still have pain. Maybe it went away in a few days, just the way they said it would in the emergency room. But whether it's whiplash and minor pain or major injury, it's not the upfront effects that are really concerning. And it isn't just the pain that's the problem. Chiropractic studies have shown that effects of auto accidents not only accumulate over the years, but they directly affect the basic structure of your body, setting it farther and farther off balance until the structure itself starts interfering with your most basic body functions. The postural mechanics of your body are designed to support body function. From muscles to organs, nerves to glands, everything is supported by structure. So when your posture is off, everything else can be too. So no matter what chronic or non-chronic pains, health issues, stresses you carry, or tensions you endure, all of them can be made worse and even caused by the trauma of the most minor car accidents. The good news? All of these can be handled by finding the structural imbalances which you have accumulated, and it is possible to restore optimum function and a pain-free life. By tracing them down to their original source, we can work on the actual cause of your issues to a much more effective result. How do you achieve it? That's easy. With a free advanced postural impact screening at Ideal Health and Wellness Center, we'll be able to get to the bottom of your issues and give you a full report of doctors' findings and recommendations of what you yourself can do to start on your way to an ideal you. Whether recent or years ago, don't let auto accidents roadblock you from a healthy and fit, pain-free life. Find out the sources of the stress you carry. Schedule your advanced postural impact screening today. Call Ideal Health and Wellness Center at 615-567-6683 now.
All right, so what is compression, and why is gravity the leading cause of this problem? If you think of a mattress, imagine you ordered a mattress on Amazon, and it comes in this small box. As soon as you open the box up, it's all compressed, but as soon as the air hits it, it reinflates and becomes this, queen or king mattress that you can put on your bed. Think of all the pressure that was taken and then how it reinflated up into that mattress. Well, if you think of your structure of your spine, there's discs in between each of the bones. And from an environmental factor, there's many things that can compress those discs. And also there's nerves that come out of the side of the spine as well. So as you're compressing the discs, you're also compressing the nerves. And another analogy that you can think of is if you had a sandwich that you just made, just say you just made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for one of your kids and they're about to go to school. And, kids have a tendency to like to smash that sandwich down and push down on that sandwich. Well, think about what happens when you push down that sandwich. What happens to the jelly in that sandwich? Well, it typically comes out of the sides of the sandwich, right? So if you think of that in comparison to your disc in your spine, like just say in your low back or in your neck, when that compresses and the forces of gravity are working on the disc, now that it compresses, it has nowhere to go but out of the sides of the bone there. It'll leak out the sides, it'll bulge out. Sometimes it herniates, which means that it pushes against the nerve. And that's where you might start feeling pain down your legs or numbness and tingling in your hands. And that's because there's no more space for the disc, so the compression caused it to leak out the sides. That's a common thing that people talk about. That's something that I see in my office a lot. It's not something that just happened recently. This is a process that takes a long time to have that happen. So if you think about some of the things that you need to do to decompress, what do you think those would be? Think about some of the things that are causing the compression. So one of the main things that we do as we become older is we typically have a job and we're sitting at a desk. So now that pressure in your disc, in your low back, and your neck is greater than it should be. So if you think about when you're sitting down all day, that puts about 400 PSI pressure through that disc. That's a lot of pressure. And the spine can't handle that kind of pressure. The disc can't handle that. So as time goes on, it compresses a lot. So as you sit for periods of time, that's typically the biggest thing I find that causes these problems. So if you think about what we were talking about earlier, why, in space, astronauts are floating. There's no gravity or very little gravity. So they're able to float through space and there's less pressure on their body. In fact, when astronauts come back from space, they've gotten taller because their body is less compressed. So they're actually taller because there's less gravity, less pressure on your bones, which is why when people say, oh, I feel like I'm shrinking as I get older, it's because the discs are actually shrinking. There's the compression that's on there, the water that's in those discs is getting pushed out. Your discs are getting dehydrated. So it's actually compressing the disc, which is actually making you start to actually lose height, because that's where the height comes from is really from the disc. So if you feel like you're losing height, it's because the discs are getting compressed in your body. So as far as structure goes, it's important to watch your body positioning throughout the day, whether you're sitting at a desk working, whether you're doing some kind of workouts, if you're at the gym lifting weights regularly, or if you're doing some kind of CrossFit stuff where you maybe flipping truck tires or doing some crazy things like that. It's very important to watch your form, because those are the kind of things that can really irritate the discs and pull your body out of alignment. And as we've talked about in the past, if your structure is off in your body, if it's misaligned, if it's out of balance, then it's going to cause a chain reaction through the spine. It can start in your feet and go all the way up. It can start in your back and then go up. But typically there's some kind of issue where there's imbalances going on and it's creating these structure problems. And then now there's pressure on discs and nerves that weren't there before. One of the things that is useful for disc problems is something called spinal decompression therapy. And it's a table that you can use for either your neck or your back, where you lay on it and you're able to open up the disc, get the pressure off the disc in a gentle manner, where it allows that disc to go back in its original position and form the normal shape of the disc like it should be, and take the pressure off the nerves and even gain a little bit of height back in the spine, so that your body is actually less compressed, and then there's less pain happening in the low back or the neck or wherever it's going on, and you're able to function better because now that pressure's off those areas and you're not having that constant numbness and tingling down the legs or in the hands, and you're able to function more normally. So as you're doing that, you're doing something like spinal decompression or even laser treatments. Laser is really great because it can help get rid of the inflammation in there and actually regenerate the tissues around the disc as well as the disc itself, so that anything that's compressed in there or the muscles are spasming or there's damage to ligaments or tendons that are around the spine, you can actually open those discs up and start to heal them so that they regenerate and take pressure off that area as you're doing decompression therapy to allow that disc to heal, and in many cases avoid surgery. If you think about a lot of people that end up choosing that option, you probably know somebody out there that's had neck surgery or back surgery on their discs, and there's something called a discectomy where they basically cut the piece of the disc off that's bulging out of the side of the spine. What happens is then you've now changed the shape of that disc. So instead of having 100% of that disc, maybe now you only have like 75 or 80% of that disc or even less. So now the disc is not the same shape anymore. So it's now a different shape, and your body has to accustom to that new shape and the new forces that can be put on it. And typically what happens then is you get a surgery at one level, the next one up starts getting compressed more because there's more pressure that needs to be put on it. And then if you have a bulge there and they cut that disc, now you have to go up to the next level and so on. So typically it has a chain reaction of issues that happen throughout the spine. So if you have a surgery and you remove part of the disc or part of the bone, you now affected the adjacent discs above and below that area, where you're going to get degeneration in those areas as well, which will then typically lead to a second or third surgery because now those other discs are degenerating or bulging, and you have to get either the same procedure on them or something else. And as time goes on, if you have multiple surgeries, what typically happens then is they end up putting in plates and screws in your back. And that's where you've now fused those areas because there's so much damage to the discs. The only way is to kind of remove the disc completely, fuse those bones, but you can't move those areas. It's fused now. And that's an area where you need to have that movement. But because it's fused there, it typically creates new problems with pain and swelling. It's something that once you cut something open, you just never know what's going to happen. I always tell people, if you're dealing with some of these problems, the most important thing is to get checked out. You may or may not need spinal decompression. And the only way to know that is to get an exam, get x-rays, really do a thorough history of what's going on, find out why this is happening and how it can be helped. That's the key to all this, is just really knowing if it is a disc problem or not. Sometimes it's just a misalignment. Sometimes it is a disc problem. Sometimes it's a nerve problem. But the key is getting screened, really figuring out where this is happening, finding out how to help fix it, and know exactly what to do. There's definitely ways to help decompress those discs. And if you figure out the way to do it correctly, a lot of times you can heal that disc. The outcomes of using spinal decompression are typically favorable as far as healing a disc, allowing that pressure to get off of those discs and nerves, where you can actually get back the height of the disc and stop the shooting pain down the legs. But the most important thing is to figure out if you're a candidate or not. If you're a candidate for it, then it's a perfect therapy to do. It's something that will really help you pretty quickly. But knowing if that's the issue and knowing what kind of problem that you're dealing with in that, whether it's lower back or lower neck, is typically where I see these problems with discs. That's the key. It's just finding out if you're a candidate and finding out what the solutions are to help you in your specific situation. The reason I became a chiropractor was actually because of low back problems. And I've been able to keep those at bay for the last 25 years because I've been able to keep the pressure off those discs and avoid surgery and avoid these problems that a lot of people have. I've had a lifetime of sports, lifting weights, getting hit in football, tackling people and playing basketball and playing baseball. It's the one thing that's kept me able to do this all these years. On top of that, as a chiropractor now, I'm physically adjusting people each week. And it's something where I'm able to continue to do those things with relatively no pain because I've been able to maintain the height of the discs and keep the alignment of my bones for all these years. And to be as active as I have been, I know that chiropractic's the thing that's kept me from either having a surgery or just not being able to perform in the gym or on the field or in my office. And I know that that's the main reason why I'm here today without dealing with these issues that I could have had. It comes down to many of the activities you've done through your life. And it doesn't start with, while you're sitting in an office chair and now all of a sudden your back hurts. It really goes back to your childhood. There's an accumulation of injuries and issues and accidents and sports injuries that have gone on for 20, 30, 40 years that have now accumulated into issues with your spine. It typically leads to misalignments of the spine and unevenness of the spine and balance issues going on, and also then compression of the disc, compression of the nerves. And over time, it now turns into more of an issue where when you were younger, you could typically bounce back. As you get older, the time goes on, the compression gets worse, and then you start having the pain symptoms and you start having the issues where you can't walk or sleep or sit or lift or do all these things that you normally did because now the pressure is too much in your back. And remember, the pain that's happening in your back happens after the pressure's been on that back for quite a while. It takes a long time for your body to actually have those pain receptors fire, because it takes a long time for those sensors and those nerves in your body to actually sense that that pain is worse than it should be. 90% of your nerves are actually for function, only about 10% are for pain. So it does take a while for that pressure to happen. So a lot of people say, like, I was tying my shoes the other day and my back went out on me, or I was playing baseball and running around the bases and all of a sudden my back went out on me, or I was doing something at my desk and my neck started killing me and I started getting numbness and tingling down my hands, or whatever it is that you started seeing. It's not just that one issue. It's an accumulation of things that happened before that. And that may have been the thing that finally put over the edge, where now you have that pain that's sustained, shooting in your hands, shooting in your legs, numbness down your feet, numbness into your hands where you can't have good grip strength. Those are the kind of things that have happened over time. And now it's to the point where it's affecting your body's function. So spinal decompression is a great way to take the pressure off those discs. It basically works against gravity so that it's opening the areas instead of compressing them. And it allows that disc to heal. It allows that nerve to heal. It allows the pressure to come off of that nerve and disc so that the spine can go back into the disc can go back into alignment in the spine, so that now your body is healing and you're able to start functioning like you did before. What is your next step? Well, it isn't therapy. It's screening. It's for me to spend my time with you to help figure out the sources of any of the physical stresses held within your body and spot any compressions you may have. After I evaluate your condition, I can report to you what I found and make recommendations. The rest is up to you. What you will do from there, based on my suggestions, is up to you. You'll also know at the conclusion of this short screening if you are a candidate for spinal decompression therapy as well. And if it isn't you you're thinking of, maybe someone you know or love, have them listen to this episode, and the screening is available to them too. I'm here to help you and anyone else you know locally be at the top of your game. That's why the show is called Sporting Good Posture. It's not just because I work with a lot of athletes, sports participants, and fitness enthusiasts. It's because everyone has a game they're trying to play in life, and not knowing the basic design of their body may be missing out. Your body's potential is way higher than you think, even in the current condition it's in. I'm here to get you off the sidelines and onto the field of play as your coach, and get you to play the best game you can, no matter what it is. So if you're compressed, stressed, or physically operating less than your potential, remember this: the coach's door is always open. Approach me. DM me on Instagram and Facebook at Ideal Health Wellness Center. Ask me the hard questions and I'll get you answers. Tell me what's going on and I'll tell you what I think. If you would like the special screening, it's on me, and all you have to do is call 615-567-6683 to secure your appointment. I'll take care of the rest. I'm looking forward to helping you relieve the pressure. Let's find the source and give you a fighting chance to lift the gravitational and other pressures that tax your body every day. I'll see you in the office. This is Coach Frank. I'm sporting space-age decompressed posture. How about you?
The Sporting Good Posture Podcast is a broadcast wellness production powered by Ideal Health Wellness Center. All content copyright 2021. All rights reserved. Executive producer Frank Sardella. Coach Frank appears courtesy of Ideal Health Wellness Center in Franklin. For more information, visit sportinggoodposture.com or follow Coach on Instagram at Ideal Health and Wellness Center.
Where I said force is force, gravity is
Yeah.
force.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was going to say it, but I'm like, it's
Kerosene,
fuel.
Fuel. Red Bull is fuel. Kerosene is Red Bull. All right. Try to compose yourself and.
Okay.